Hey guys, Shashank this side. And if you need motivation to show up on your calls, you're already in trouble. Because motivation disappears the moment you get rejected. Now, let me tell you, everybody watches reels on Instagram, Harvey Specter, right? The Wolf of Wall Street. You watch those podcasts on sales, you watch those hype up videos, motivational videos, right? You feel pumped for the day, and then reality hits. Motivation feels good, but it doesn't make you dangerous. Overall, I'm pretty sure if you have been into sales for a while, you have also heard like do 10-15 push-ups before going on the sales call. You'll feel pumped, you'll feel more confident, you'll feel good overall. That is just a part of that's just motivating yourself. Now the problem with this is motivation is kind of I would say a trap. Why? Because it is emotional and it is temporary. Let me tell you certain things that I have written down for you. Motivation is emotional, it's temporary, and it depends on your mood, wins, and external content. Which means if you get one bad sales call, your energy will drop and you will start doubting yourself. Now, if you get 2 bad days, no deals in 2 days, you will start procrastinating, you'll start avoiding. Now, if this happens for a week, you basically go into a sales rut then. Then 1 week becomes two becomes three, and then you have a bad month overall. Why? Because you're dependent on motivation to feel good and close deals. That is the major issue that many closers face. If your performance depends on how you feel, your income will always be unstable. Because let's be honest, guys, you're not a monk. You're not that stable, and you don't have stable moods every single day. Even I don't have that, right? What happened with me as well when I started out in high ticket closing, I used to binge watch self-help videos. Why? Because that used to give that dopamine spike. Even with you, I know you're watching self-help videos a lot. That is good. But the main agenda of watching self-help should be growth as an expression instead of coming from a place of insecurity. What is happening with majority of you, I can bet, is you're watching all this self-help videos, self-improvement videos because you think that helps you to grow. And once you see yourself growing, you feel good about it. On days when you don't have calls, on days when you don't watch self-help videos, you feel very unproductive on those days. You feel as if nothing has happened. You have wasted a day. You feel very demotivated. You feel bored overall. So that is a very, very clear indication that you are using self-help as a crutch overall, right? You haven't built that internal certainty yet. What you're trying to do with self-help is you're trying to fix a part of you. You're constantly trying to grow yourself, build yourself to become successful. You're always in that chase of becoming that ideal version. Nothing wrong with that. But the problem is, because it has become a part of your identity that you always need to go after growth, after motivation, after self-help, you're always in that growth phase and you are never able to see yourself as a fully successful person. So even in your life, if you remember, I mentioned your identity, who you are is exactly what you attract. Look in your life. Is it happening in your life as well that you are always trying out, you're always doing so many things, but that success is never coming? The kind of success you want, it's always on the chase. It always feels that it's so near, but you're not able to grasp it. Is that resonating with you? Yeah. That is because you have built this identity where you feel that you need to grow yourself every single day. You're operating from that place of lack that you're not complete right now. You're not whole right now, and you need some external content. You need to find that golden missing nugget that will eventually make you feel complete and whole, and then you will become successful. Now, because this has become your identity, that is the kind of environment that you are basically attracting. That's why you're not successful so far, because you don't view yourself as a complete whole person. right? Makes sense? Perfect. Now, Shashank, how do I solve this? You simply solve this by changing your identity. There is nothing to be fixed overall. Now again, don't fall into that trap. Even if you are raising this question, Shashank, how do I fix this? That is again your old identity speaking, who likes to fix everything about himself or herself. There is nothing to be fixed. You're complete already. You are exactly 100% perfect the way you are. Once you start operating from that level of completeness and wholeness, then growth becomes an expression instead of an insecurity. Now you are learning things to actually grow. Why? Because you like it. It is not a requirement. You're not trying to fix yourself. You're already perfect. And that is what will take you to the next level from here. So this is exactly how do I know this to such an extent, because that was me a couple of years ago. And I diagnosed it. I was able to find out the pattern that I was stuck in, and I was able to overcome this. Once you are in this pattern, what happens is you look for motivation always before sales call. You feel that high, but you get crushed whenever you get rejections. You take rejections too personally, right? And that's why you feel that hesitation always before going on any sales call. You know you have done it so many times, but you still feel that nervousness. Why? Because deep down you do not believe, your identity is still not 100%. You still, some part of you believes that you're not enough. That was happening with me as well. So motivation is something that is very addictive. Why? Because it's very easy to get. It feels like progress. Like, be honest with yourself. When you watch those reels, motivational reels, you feel like you're progressing. You're better than others, right? You get that dopamine spike. You feel pumped up. It gives you hope without responsibility. But the problem is motivation doesn't fix that part of you that collapses under pressure. The real you is the one that comes under pressure when there are no filters on. And closers face every time, whenever they face rejection, ghosting, objections, silence, they get crushed by it. What happens when you're not motivated but the call is still there? Do you show up? Do you take the call? Do you feel actually good before taking the call? And that is the part I want you to realize. Motivation is temporary. So what needs to be done, Shashank? Give me, like, tell me, what do I have to do? So the best closers out there, I knew, and even for me as well, I consider myself very good at closing for sure, were not the most motivated. They were the most stable overall. They were more stable within themselves. They don't need to hype themselves up. They don't need to watch Tony Robbins or Sandeep Maheshwari or Dan Locke or Cole Gordon or any other guru out there. They're just very comfortable in their own skin. And that is what real confidence is. Once you're really, really comfortable in your own skin, you become highly dangerous. I heard this line from one person. I forgot who that person was, but that person basically shared this insight that once you are comfortable in your own skin, like really comfortable, that is exactly when you become dangerous, right? So the main thing you need to focus on now is you need to show up with the same energy every single day. Doesn't matter, after wins you show up the same, after losses you show up the same. I'm not saying don't celebrate wins or don't get sad after losses. Of course you will feel sad, of course you'll celebrate after wins, but you need to have that stable foundation below you where you don't have to ever depend on motivation. You don't need to have that hypiness. You're not chasing any feelings overall. And for me, that happened is I basically stopped asking myself, how do I get motivated to take sales calls? How do I get motivated to take 10 sales calls? I started asking myself, how do I become unshakable? That is when the shift happened. And a really good example of motivation is I was watching a lot of content when I was selling this business offer. In 1 week, I took almost 20, I made 25 offers. So calls, of course, were more, but offers I made 25 in 6 days of working. That was the highest I did in any particular week. And this was a business offer. It was like calls were super long, not long, I would say 1 hour calls, but they were highly like, it was intellectual. Like you had to like, करना पड़ता था मेहनत उस calls में, right? It was not easy, I would say. But I made 25 offers purely because of motivation. But what happened in the next week, third week? Of course, the performance was not that great. Because it was backed by motivation and not my personal identity and that groundedness overall, that unshakable foundation. So the solution overall is very simple. You need to work on 3 things. Ultimately, you just need to work on one thing, which is I mentioned, just understand that you are whole and create that as the foundation. Make that a part of your identity, that you're perfect the way you are. You don't need to fix anything. Once that is done, then whatever you will do, the growth would be an addition. You will start actually growing in life and becoming successful with all the content. But now to dumb it down for you, there are 3 things you need to focus on. First, identity. Now I know, Shashank, identity, why are you so obsessed with it? I am. That is how I became who I am, right? That's why I'm obsessed, and you will hear this word every time you open my channel and watch my videos. So number 1, work on your identity, which is who are you? How do you show up on the calls, right? The part of you that should feel that it's very simple. Taking a sales call and closing a deal shouldn't feel like a big victory for you. It should almost feel like it's a regular routine. Example, when you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, you're not super hyped up about that, right? Oh, I woke up today, I brushed my teeth, wow. That doesn't happen, right? Because it's a routine for you. It's like normal for you. So closing deals, high ticket deals, showing up on sales call should be normal for you. Once you make that normal, just understand your identity has shifted. That's the very practical explanation I can give. Second thing, you need to change your belief, which is you need to rewrite what rejection means. If somebody is rejecting you on the sales call, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the offer. They are rejecting something. And after a point, I almost have this belief now that I can close everybody. Like I can close everybody, I just run out of time. That is the belief I have. For example, I have 1 hour with you. You did not buy. But that doesn't mean I haven't closed you. I can still close you, but I have chosen not to close you. Maybe I can spend an additional hour with you, additional 2 hours with you to close you on that exact same day. Or I can follow up with you for 1 week, for 1 year, for 5 years, for 10 years as well. After 10 years, you will buy from me. Something you will buy. Some other offer. We'll have a relation. You'll become my friend. But eventually you will buy if I really want to make sure that I want to sell you. That is a belief that came after a long time of doing this, right? So that's a belief that even you can see, like that's the reality, not even a belief. You just run out of time, right? But you can close absolutely everybody on the call. Not on the call, after the call as well. Everybody, all the closes, like you can absolutely close 100% of them. It's just that you're not choosing to do that. That's how I view it. So that's the second thing. First is identity. Second is belief. Change the belief, how you look at rejection. Third thing is routine. You need to have a routine. You need to have same preparation, same standards daily. Why? Because you do not rise, basically you don't rise to motivation, you fall to your identity or your standards that you have set for yourself. You fall to your lowest standards or your identity that you have set for yourself. So you need to understand motivation is for beginners, for professionals and top 1% closer, which you want to become. You need to build standards. That is the main shift you need to do. Now, overall, if you want consistent income and you need a consistent, if you want a consistent income, you need a consistent inner state. Good line, right? So decision guides do not get hyped, they get grounded, and that is why people buy from them, because they can sense the certainty. They can see these people have actually put in the hours. They are not made up, they are not full of shit. They actually know what they're speaking about. So overall, if you want to build consistency without relying on motivation, this channel is for you. Subscribe if you haven't already, and If you are ready to stop chasing motivation and start building that real stability, subscribe to the channel. I post 2 videos every single week. So would be awesome to see you on this journey along with me. Bye bye. I'll see you on the next one.